Killer whales are the dominant predators of the ocean, yet something is eating them. Strange wounds keep appearing on the bodies of these rulers of the sea, perfectly round, deep holes, with chunks of flesh cleanly carved away as if they had been removed with a surgical instrument. Even great white sharks flee when they hear the sounds of killer whales. No animal dares to attack them. So what is stalking them and biting chunks of flesh from their bodies? Scientists once believed these marks were caused by a strange disease or fungus, but the truth has now been confirmed. These are bite wounds. There is a predator treating the most powerful creature in the ocean as a food source. Scientists have identified the culprit. And the strangest part? It is not a gigantic monster. It is small enough to fit in the palm of your hand. Killer whales are not fish. They are mammals, and they possess one of the largest brains in the animal kingdom. An adult male can reach 9 meters in length and weigh 6 tons, with a bite more powerful than that of any land-based carnivore. But their most frightening advantage is not their size. It is their social organization. They hunt in family groups, communicate through distinct dialects, and pass hunting skills down through generations. They do not act purely on instinct. They operate through complex group behavior. In 2017, along the coast of South Africa, 5 great white shark carcasses washed ashore. They all shared one striking feature. Their bodies were largely intact, but their livers were completely missing. A major investigation was launched. The results showed that killer whales did not simply attack great white sharks head-on. They swam alongside them, using their massive bodies to ram or push the sharks onto their backs. Once inverted, the sharks entered a state known as tonic immobility. A 5-meter mass of muscle and razor-sharp teeth suddenly became rigid, unable to move effectively or defend itself. The killer whales kept the prey in that position until it became severely deprived of oxygen, then opened the body cavity, removed the energy-rich liver, and abandoned the rest of the carcass. This behavior is so overwhelmingly dominant that the latest monitoring data show that when killer whales appear, entire groups of great white sharks can immediately leave the area. They may not return for months or even years. An underwater speaker experiment off New Zealand demonstrated this reaction. When scientists played the sounds of humpback whales, great white sharks approached out of curiosity. But the moment killer whale communication calls were played, the enormous sharks immediately turned around, dove deeper, and moved away from the area as quickly as possible. Great white sharks fear the sounds of killer whales. Blue whales can fall to their coordinated hunting strategies. From the freezing waters of Antarctica to the beaches of Argentina, killer whales know how to capture almost any prey, from seals resting on floating ice to stingrays hiding beneath the sand. Few creatures, whether armored, fast-swimming, or enormous, can easily escape them. Yet this ultimate predator carries deep wounds across its body. And the truth about the creature leaving those bite marks seems even more unbelievable than anything humans could imagine. For decades, these circular scars remained an unsolved mystery. At first, they were found on the skin of killer whales, sperm whales, and dolphins. Later, they appeared on great white sharks and even some of the fastest tuna in the ocean. The wounds are consistently about 4 to 6 centimeters across, several centimeters deep, and remarkably smooth around the edges. Researchers once blamed flesh-eating bacteria, parasites, or some unknown disease. But no disease could carve out a perfectly circular wound like this. The mystery became even more serious when the targets were no longer living animals. During the 1970s, the United States Navy recorded a strange phenomenon. Military submarines carrying ballistic missiles returned to port with perfectly round holes gouged into the rubber coverings that protected their sonar systems. Undersea communications cables were also damaged by bites. Oceanographic instruments made from steel and neoprene displayed the same distinctive marks. Even by 2026, as underwater drones began reaching deeper ocean trenches, engineers continued finding their equipment damaged in the same recognizable pattern. Deep diving robots protected by extremely durable synthetic shells were also found with chunks gouged out. Something in the dark water was not only biting killer whales, but was also attempting to bite into military submarines and exploration robots. It seemed willing to attack almost anything, showing little distinction between metal and flesh, and traces of it appeared across vast areas of the ocean. If a creature is bold enough to rush toward and bite a giant military submarine, then to it, a killer whale may be little more than a moving heat-emitting target in the darkness. So what does this ocean attacker actually look like? Surely it must be the size of a building. No. The creature capable of biting a killer whale is a shark less than 50 centimeters long. It is so small that you could hold it comfortably in both hands. It is called the Cookiecutter shark, a surprisingly harmless-sounding name for a creature that seems to break the usual rules of the food web. It looks almost like a dark grey cucumber, with a thick cylindrical body and a short, blunt snout. Place it beside a 9-meter killer whale and it looks more like a scrap of food than a threat. During the day, this shark lives in extremely deep water, often below 1,000 meters, where sunlight can never reach. The water there is bitterly cold and the pressure is powerful enough to damage ordinary materials. But when night falls, it begins to move. It makes a vertical journey toward the surface. Every night, millions of small marine organisms rise into shallower water to feed, creating an enormous migration. The Cookiecutter shark follows that moving stream of life. It swims upward toward the surface, and then it begins to hunt. But it is too small, too soft-bodied, and too slow to chase a killer whale. It cannot ambush an animal equipped with a sophisticated sound detection system capable of detecting subtle vibrations from great distances. So how can such a tiny, slow-moving creature strike the ocean's ultimate predator? The answer is, it does not chase the killer whale. It makes the killer whale swim directly toward it. This is where the survival mechanism of the Cookiecutter shark becomes a masterpiece of nature. The entire underside of this shark is covered with thousands of tiny light-producing organs. They emit a soft green glow. In the open ocean at night, light from the moon and stars filters down beneath the surface, creating a faintly illuminated background. Any creature swimming above will cast a dark silhouette against that light, making it easy for predators below to see. The Cookiecutter shark takes advantage of this. It illuminates its entire underside, so that the intensity of its green glow matches the brightness of the moonlight filtering down through the water almost perfectly. Immediately, its silhouette becomes completely concealed. It blends into the background light. It becomes nearly invisible. But that is only the first step. Invisibility does not bring food to it. It needs prey to come closer. Just beneath the shark's throat is a dark band that does not glow at all. When the shark activates its luminous camouflage, this dark band stands out against the illuminated background. From a distance, that dark patch looks almost exactly like a tiny, solitary fish swimming alone in the open ocean. It turns its own body into a lure, a fake little fish exposed in the darkness of the sea, looking harmless and easy to catch. A tuna, a dolphin, or even a massive killer whale swims past. Its visual system detects that tiny dark silhouette, an easy target. The killer whale rushes forward, opening its enormous mouth filled with dozens of sharp teeth to swallow the small prey. The distance closes, a few meters, a few centimeters. At the exact moment the ocean's greatest hunter commits to swallowing its target, the Cookiecutter shark launches its attack. The bite of the Cookiecutter shark happens in a flash and is one of the most frightening biological mechanisms on the planet. Its lips are extremely thick and fleshy. It presses those lips against the killer whale's skin, pulls its throat backward to create a vacuum, and attaches itself firmly to the prey like an extremely powerful suction cup. This grip is so strong that even the rushing water created as the killer whale swims cannot easily tear it away. The upper jaw of the Cookiecutter shark contains small, narrow teeth that stab into the skin and act as fixed anchors. Then the main cutting mechanism begins. Its lower jaw does not contain ordinary separate teeth. Instead, it carries a row of large triangular teeth that interlock to form one continuous, razor-sharp cutting edge. Once firmly attached to the body of an animal weighing 6 tons, the tiny shark twists its entire body through a complete rotation. The lower jaw acts like a saw blade. It cuts through the killer whale's tough skin and penetrates the layer of fat and muscle underneath. A cylindrical plug of flesh is carved out cleanly. The shark swallows the chunk, releases its suction grip, and immediately drops back into the black depths below. The entire process takes only 1 to 2 seconds. It happens so quickly that the killer whale's nervous system may barely have time to respond to the pain. By the time the 6-ton giant realizes that a hole has been carved into its body, the attacker is already dozens of meters away and disappearing into the darkness. The killer whale becomes agitated, but there is no target left to attack. It cannot use echolocation to strike something that has already vanished, and it certainly cannot descend thousands of meters into the deep to pursue it. It has no choice but to keep swimming, carrying an open wound that will gradually begin to heal. And the most disturbing part still does not end there. Global oceanographic reports released in the middle of 2026 are revealing an entirely new picture. For decades, encounters between these two species were believed to be purely accidental. But the latest generation of AI technology used to analyze swimming routes has identified unusual systematic patterns. Changes in ocean currents are reshaping the map of the seas. Instead of remaining within their traditional Pacific routes, killer whale pods are now expanding their hunting paths along the eastern coast of Australia, around the Great Barrier Reef, and into waters off South America as they follow seal populations. In doing so, they have unintentionally moved directly into the main distribution range of the Cookiecutter shark. Early warning sonar stations positioned off the Australian coast during 2026 recorded unusual signals. When killer whale pods migrated at night through these deep waters, they appeared to change their communication patterns dramatically. They became quieter, their swimming formations tightened, and they moved at maximum speed toward shallower water. The data suggest that they may recognize these areas as dangerous and attempt to pass through them as quickly as possible. Their highly intelligent brains may understand that predators are hiding in the dark water below. Another remarkable evolutionary feature is that the Cookiecutter shark maintains this attack mechanism with extraordinary efficiency. The rotating bite rapidly wears down its lower teeth. Most sharks replace their teeth one at a time, but the Cookiecutter shark sheds the entire lower row at once, and instead of spitting the old teeth into the ocean, it swallows them, allowing its body to reabsorb the calcium and use those minerals to build a new, sharper cutting edge. It is an extremely efficient recycling cycle that prevents the body from wasting valuable minerals. This creature does not need to learn from its family. It does not need a communication dialect. When a young Cookiecutter shark is born thousands of meters beneath the ocean surface, it already possesses suction cup lips, saw-like teeth, and a band of glowing camouflage. It is born to do one thing: swim toward the surface, deceive the largest creatures in the ocean, and take a bite. This aggression does not stop with animals. Reports have also described similar circular bite marks on night divers in the Red Sea and on recently installed undersea fiber optic systems linking Asia and Europe. To this tiny predator, a killer whale and an armored fiber optic cable may create the same dark silhouette. It does not care what you are. It approaches, cuts a circle, and leaves. Killer whales represent overwhelming power, extraordinary intelligence, and the ability to dominate other animals. They win by surrounding, pressuring, and overpowering their prey. But being at the top of the food chain does not mean being completely invulnerable. You cannot defeat an opponent that has no intention of fighting you. You cannot corner a hunter that appears for only an instant and then disappears. The Cookiecutter shark neutralizes nearly every advantage the killer whale has in size and intelligence. If we imagine the ocean ecosystem as a complex network, the killer whale is one of its strongest structures, capable of withstanding forces that overwhelm almost everything else. Yet even that structure can be pierced by tiny creatures operating silently from below. The powerful sometimes fall not because their opponent is larger, but because of vulnerabilities too small to see. And the ruler of the ocean, no matter how powerful it may be, must still accept this injury every time darkness falls. The next time you see majestic footage of a killer whale pod moving powerfully across the ocean, look carefully at their skin. Those perfectly circular wounds are a cold reminder that absolute invincibility does not exist. No matter how high you stand, there may always be something small hiding in the darkness, waiting to take a piece of you. What do you think about the camouflage mechanism of this tiny creature? Is raw physical strength, or the intelligence to remain hidden, nature's ultimate weapon? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to join us for our next mystery.